Great, okay. It is January 13th. It is 5:33 p.m. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is the Board of Health regular meeting. I'm Morgan McMillan, board president. I'm going to have the other board members just introduce themselves. I think the rest of them are online. Hold on, let's see. Next video and chat are disabled. I think that's from Amber.
Oh, okay, let me fix that.
Thank you for that note. We will get on that.
Hey, it looks like I'm not disabled now. It's Landry.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Let me get to the rest of them. I'm kind of doing it one by one here. Not sure why I did that. Get, oh, nope, I missed lady. All right, one moment. Thank you, everyone. All right. Lindy, Landry, you guys hear us? Please. Amber,
talk?
Yes.
can you talk? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got. Okay, Landry, yes. Amber, yes. Lindy, yes. Just want to make sure we have a record that we have a quorum. We've got 4 of our board members present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Item number 1 on the agenda is public comments. I don't think we have any unless we've got any surprise.
No
We've got
public
some folks
comments.
here for an agenda item, okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Patrick Kuno is going to be serving as our Board of Health liaison in an interim role.
Okay, we're happy to have your help. Thank you, Patrick, for stepping in.
Hey,
for that.
Lindy's still not able to talk. Sorry to interrupt, but she's still blocked from talking.
She should be, it's enabled, she's muted, but her mic and camera are enabled. That was Lindy, right? I don't know if maybe,
You want to get her?
Lindy, if you can,
Or disconnect and try reconnecting. It's
yeah,
all these high-tech solutions to.
see if we can.
Uh-huh. Restart.
And just to finish my comment, and thanks to Dahlia for stepping in to help with work.
Indeed. Thank you, Dahlia.
There's Lindy coming back in. So it's-
Okay, let's try it again. Thanks for everyone's patience here while we work through. Lindy, can we just make sure we've got your voice?
Mic and camera is enabled for Lindy. I'm gonna try one more solution here.
Amber also says she isn't able to speak up.
Try again, Amber.
It worked that time. I'm here. Thank you.
Great, awesome.
Now we just need Lindy.
Okay.
Okay.
just went
That's,
We're,
we can keep rolling. If we can
Okay.
get Lindy on, Lindy, can you?
yeah, Lindy just texted me thing. She's unable to talk still. I don't know what the secret sauce was for getting Amber connected, but
Yeah, I did the same thing. I promise it's not personal, Lindy.
Yeah.
If you can hear.
okay, if,
Let me try one more thing here.
okay. Lindy, we're gonna get you connected. I'm just, if it's okay, I'm gonna,
It's a short agenda.
yeah, right, I know. But I know we have some folks waiting also.
I just want you to know it's a full moon, so.
I know, it's full moon.
Yeah,
right?
her feet are All right, here we go. Looks like we just lost everybody.
There I am.
Oh, yay. Oh, it's nice to see you and hear you. Oh, and you're both on the big screen, which is just
Uh-oh.
real
Sorry,
treat.
everyone.
I'll fix that. Give me just a second.
Larger than
I'll
life right
present
now.
that,
Larger than life.
Don't
yeah.
look too close.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Since Dahlia had to reboot, I will take over presenting here.
okay.
I'm going right in. Hold on.
Yep.
Oh, that's all right.
You're
all right.
good. Okay, so I'm gonna move us on to item number 2. Approval of the December 13th regular meeting minutes.
Do we have a,
I need a motion from one of my other
Oh,
board
just a moment.
members, please. Oh, hold on.
yeah, no, it's still recording. We were
Okay.
just making sure we were still recording. We're still
Okay.
recording. Wow.
I'll motion to approve.
Great, thank you.
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes, okay, great. Okay, item number 3, on-site wastewater treatment system variance request hearing. Take it away, Erin.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Erin Dodge, Boulder County Water Quality Program Manager. And I am here tonight with Chris Ayers, who is one of our water quality specialists on the team. And they are joined by the applicants for the variance, and I will let him do all the introductions. And just want to make a note that if you do speak, just make sure you state your name for the record when you speak. But hopefully this will be pretty straightforward. I did print a copy of the variance information from our regulation. If anybody online needs a copy of that, I can work on getting you the link via Patrick. But most of what you need to know should be in our presentation. So Chris, want to take it away?
Sure. So I have a variance request for 8550 North 39th Street. That's for today, January 13th, 2025. So the variance request summary, existing structure is a 4-bedroom house located in Longmont, unincorporated Boulder County with a full conforming OWTS. Property owners are proposing a barn with 2 bathrooms, toilet and sinks for a summer camp, 12 campers max, and up to 12 community events per year, 49 people max. No food preparation will be done on site. This request is to install a vault instead of a full conforming OWTS. Due to the proposed usage of the barn, the applicants are proposing a vault is more efficient for the smaller amounts of wastewater generated, the limited usage of the vault during the year, and the limited space where the operations are taking place.
Slide.
You have a aerial view of the parcel. And we have a detailed view of what the engineer is proposing for the on-site wastewater treatment design there, including setbacks, where the proposed farm will be, where the current house is, where the vault will be, the parking lot will be. So our OWTS design proposal, OWTS design accounted for maximum sizing based on the proposed operations. The design again proposes a summer camp and 12 events per year for 49 people maximum for a maximum gallons per day GPD of 135 gallons, which is the 49 people max times our 15 gallons per day for camps, no meal served, and that comes from our BCPH OWTS regulations, table 6-2. The minimum vault size requirements would be 1470 gallons, which would be the GPD of 735 times 2. The design proposes a 2,500 gallon front range precast vault with an alarm to trigger or to alert the property owners when the vault is at least 75% full. And this satisfies BCPH's OWTS vault size requirements and retention time. And this comes from Boulder County Public Health OWTS regulation section 15.4H. And the vault will be in an area where vehicular traffic protection measures will not be required. And alternatives considered, installing a new full conforming OWTS. Maintaining two OWTS, one with very limited usage, could be considered a heavy burden on the property owners. Another alternative that was considered was the property owners have proposed including portable toilets for maximum capacity events to reduce the vault usage. And our considerations and recommendation, BCPH will require a licensed pumper to dispose of wastewater at a licensed facility, and that pumper must keep yearly pumping receipts. BCPH will require the property to apply annually for a use permit where pumping receipts will be submitted upon request. BCPH will require all OWTS setbacks to be met, and the approval of the variance is supported by the CDPHE OWTS coordinator. Our staff recommendation is that we approve the variance request.
Do you have any questions?
Yep, thank you for that thorough presentation and thanks for being here. Are there any questions from any of the other board members? No, okay.
And just a note, Brooke did join us.
Okay, great. Welcome, Brooke. Thanks for being here. Okay, hearing no other questions, seems like a very thorough process. I suspect this is not the only hurdle to achieving use of the property. So can we get a vote from the board to approve the variance request, please?
I think we need a motion.
Yep.
To
Motion, yep. Thank you.
So a motion to approve the variance, and then we need a second.
I move to approve the variance request.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approved. Congratulations. So best of luck. Thank you for your work on this. Yeah, prep work that went into it.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, item number 4. ECPH budget and finance update.
Presentation. Name's Armando Guardiola, Director of Administration and Finance. Good evening, Board of Health. We're excited today to actually hand over a physical copy of the new adopted budget 25. We'll definitely, for those that ain't here, obviously you'll have one for your own viewing. I did provide the online version in PDF for the board. And I just kind of want to see if there's any feedback for next year's budget book. We are currently working on the 26 budget as we speak. And further along, we'll talk a little bit about the calendar at a high level. I also provided the calendar here for you tonight, so you can actually have a copy of the budget calendar for you. I guess I'd open it up, see if there's any recommendations or any questions. We will be submitting, or we've already submitted the budget to our local government affairs office, and then we will also be submitting it to the GOFA for an award. Hopefully we get it. If not, we'll at least get information that needs to be changed for next year's. It usually takes a one time. I've done this in the past, so we're going to see what we get as a response from the GOFA. But otherwise, I'd love to hear from you if there's anything that you want to see different for next year. Keep looking at one, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. The majority of them are up there.
No. Cool.
Questions, comments from the board? No, this is great. Armando, really appreciate it, for the whole team.
Yep.
Work has gone into this and the organization, and it's just good to have all the detail also, and the timelines, really, the calendar's helpful.
If not, there's no other questions. I'll move on to the calendar, but I do want to thank the team for one last time. It was really a group effort from not only the programs, divisions, but ultimately the finance team. Desiree, Sarah, Jerry, the whole team really worked together, put a lot of hours in to get this done in a timely manner. So I really want to thank them. And then comps, we work with comps to get obviously the cover and the whole book itself published. So I just want to thank everybody where credit is due. So thank you. All right, let's move on next. So tonight I just really high level, I want to talk a little bit about the budget calendar. And with that said, obviously budget calendar is a living document, but we kind of broke it up in a couple sections. The first section that you see, go ahead, go to the next one. First one that you see is actually broken down by quarters. So as you can see, we're really developing a very detailed budget calendar for this year, and we'll continue adding as we move forward every year. But this one's very high level. I think this one's good for the board to kind of look at and see what we're doing in first, second, third, and fourth quarter. There's always something going on within each quarter of the year. We're really looking at a lot of monitoring, a lot of analysis done throughout the year. We're also looking at really starting the process a lot earlier. We are already starting, like I said. It will start February. We started in January kind of prepping, and we're working on prep and training, but ultimately February really starting to meet and try to understand the programs, divisions, as we also start looking at priority-based budgeting. So if you have any questions, please take a look at this document. Like I said, I did provide a more detailed one handout that I'll provide, and I'll email to this group also after today's meeting. Go to the next, please. I don't want to spend too much time on this. You are getting a handout, but I just want to kind of just give you some important dates. For example, February, you'll be receiving your first budget report that will come every month. We close the accounting month at the end of the month, and then within 15 days after they close, you will be receiving a report from finance and as well as the directors and the programs. So look for that report here in February. You'll look at budget to actuals, and you'll get a little bit more information on kind of the overall financial state of the organization. And then, as you can see, is we're finalizing in February. Also, we're starting to finalize templates. So we're also looking at our budget process itself, trying to automate some of our processes as far as our templates to make it a little bit more efficient. And then ultimately, in March, we'll start working on the budget amendment. So what the budget amendment is, we'll start looking at any new revenues coming in, any adjustments that we feel that we need to make the adjustments on the budget. And then we'll be presenting that to the board. And then ultimately, the big thing in March is we will be coming to the board with the budget study session retreat, and really focusing on some priorities as far as priority-based budgeting, and then really starting to project some of the revenues and expenditures. So that way we can give a lot of information to the board to give some direction as moving forward for 2026. Next one, please. And then we start really the work that we start working with department or divisions and programs, and really understanding need for 2026. And then ultimately we'll have some results as far as how we score some of the priority-based budgeting. And from there, we can really start looking at the organization itself and really set up for a good budget for 2026. Go to the next one. And ultimately, July and August is important because it's when the county starts working on their budget, and we really want to be in line with the county. And when I say that is we're going to be following their calendar. So some of this might be subject to change just because the county might change some of the dates on the calendar, but we will be following the county's calendar very tight with the budget, and just in making sure that we're aligned. Right now, I have a team working with the county as far as how they're budgeting some of the personnel and making sure that we're in line a little closer. So those are some of the things that we're improving in this year's budget, 2026. Go to the next one, please. And ultimately, fourth quarter, we'd like to actually bring before fourth quarter a full 26 budget for the board for you to review, and ultimately hopefully have a completed budget by November and in December, hopefully get the budget adopted in 2026. Very high level. Any questions on that? I think the changes that we're providing and just overall improvement on the calendar and the transparency will really help us drive a very successful 2026 budget. And so you'll have a lot of more information, a lot more tangible information for us to really get some guidance and direction from the board. Any questions?
I appreciate just starting early and giving ourselves plenty of time. Josh, thank you.
All right, we will move on to the last section. It'll be my quickest presentation. Go to the next one, please. So priority-based budgeting, I do want to touch a little bit on priority-based budgeting. And so we met with leadership. We started right around December, right after you adopted the budget, to really get familiar and an understanding of priority-based budgeting. So right now we're kind of in the first phase. So I want to talk a little bit about what we've done, a little bit of what priority-based budgeting and what we intend to bring to the board, and ultimately how we can be successful to implement in 2026. Go to the next one, please. So a little bit of what we've done. So we started really the initiative on priority-based budgeting with a more strategic lens. And when I say that is, there's a misperception on priority-based budgeting, and that's people tend to look at priority-based budgeting as ultimately cutting organizations and trimming organizations. What we really want to do is really be mindful and strategic at how we look at our organization, and we want to use strategic priority-based budgeting by doing that. So we really want to add value to what we bring to the public. And ultimately, I think priority-based budgeting will assist us to really add some value and priorities on our resources. So I just want to be careful because ultimately, sometimes the priority-based budgeting has a negative tone to it. And I want to be careful how we deliver that, especially with staff, and ultimately just letting them understand and educating them that we're really trying to do this to ultimately be more efficient and ultimately provide our service levels to our customers, which is the community. So we got to be real mindful. So I want to be careful how we really educate it and ultimately how we initiate priority-based budgeting. So we really have looked at priority-based budgeting right now, and we've looked at it into 3 phases. So the first phase is the fundamental phase, and really is the initiation or the implementation plan. Currently, leadership has met, and we've come up with a strategic plan, the goals of what we're trying to do with priority-based budgeting. And we've also looked at what does success look like for implementing priority-based budgeting. And then we also started inventorying programs as far as what our services are and what our core services. So we've spent a full session identifying that, and currently we'll be meeting again to really clean that up. We're using a inventory that was used prior when they did a program. I wasn't here, but they did the program Project X, I believe it was called. Resource X. And so we use that as inventory. We also went through a session and identified our inventory slightly different. So we're comparing those to make sure that we address all programs and services. And then ultimately what we're working on right now is developing a scorecard. And we've identified what we would like the scorecard to address with each program. And so currently we're working on that scorecard. And once that is complete, we'll definitely bring this back to the board and ultimately also bring this back to the programs management to make sure all the stakeholders are well aware of what the goal is for priority-based budgeting and ultimately what does success look like. And then we'll move on to the framework phase, which is more really looking at ultimately what we're bringing forward and how we want to address the priorities, and then ultimately bring that back to the board for our budget session, and then get some direction from there. And then ultimately the third phase would be the implementation phase. And one thing I left out is we also have the strategic plan with priority-based budgeting. I looked at Kelly and I forgot to mention that's important. We have a strategic plan, so we want to make sure that we also incorporate that within the scoring. And then ultimately the implementation phase, and that really is making sure that our budget is aligned with our priorities and making sure that we're also creating accountability and results. And that's with some of the dashboarding, some of the reporting, and ultimately really being transparent in how we are performing, and then ultimately creating these efficiencies and innovation. So it's going to take some time. It's also changing culture, just to let you know, as far as when we look at priority-based budgeting. So ultimately, it's 3 phases, but it really does take some months. And so on the next slide, I'll kind of break it down, trying to really expedite it within a year. It usually takes about 18 months in my experience when we do priority-based budgeting. So we're going to attempt to do it within 12 months. So, bear with us and hopefully we can get this done by next year so it can be implemented in 26 and we can start really kind of tracking and monitoring progress. So next slide, please. And so here's the suggested timeline. Like I said, it usually takes about 18 months, bigger organizations. I feel that, we can probably get something going by 26. Ultimately, using the data to drive some data-driven decisions later on, even on 27, but at least setting us up to really start looking at our priorities for 26. So it's a little aggressive. I'm hoping that I'm not being too aggressive, but I believe that we can accomplish most of the 3 phases by budget 26. Go ahead, close it. Sorry, I thought that was. So I'd leave you with if there's any questions or comments, I'd love to hear your comments, or if you want to know more information. I will be coming back to the board with the session really defining priority-based budgeting, so we're all on the same page as far as definitions and how it works and what we're trying to accomplish, and then ultimately bring back the strategic goal and some of the objectives that we're trying to accomplish with priority-based budgeting for the organization.
Thank you.
Thanks Armando for bringing this up. But again, I still have no clue what our priority-based budgeting actually means or looks like. So just to be very clear that when we go into, since this is going to be the big part of our retreat, I think next month, that we will have more specifics as how we are defining a priority, what are at least the general priorities before that. Because still have no idea. It all sounds nice, but no idea what it actually means.
Yeah, we'll definitely provide some training. I think that's important. That's why it's important we come back with at least some, standardization as terms, and ultimately what is priority-based budgeting, because I've seen it in different places slightly different. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same understanding of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do. So I will put together some material. I can send that out to give you some time to actually read it. It's very high level. It's really good material based on some case studies that they've done in some municipalities, and also I believe is a water district. And so I'll send that out. I'll prep that together and send that out to this group. And then ultimately we can probably come back with a session prior to kind of just educate a little bit on priority-based budgeting.
Yeah, and beyond that, that would be very helpful. But also, if we're going to spend a whole day or a full half a day really dedicated to this, I do want to see some specifics so that it's not just all the basic definitions and kind of the amorphous idea of we will define these priorities.
Absolutely. Just to add to that, so when you talk about specifics, when we meet, I plan to have a scorecard, and the scorecard will explain how we're prioritizing programs. I think that will help you out. So I'll put some information in there for you. There's also a good flow chart that we want to try to use as far as how decision making should be done, and we'll provide that information. So there's more information. I'll try to put that together as soon as possible to give you some time to kind of digest that information.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just to follow up on Brooke's questions about so we'll have a scorecard that will open up the process for trying to identify priorities within the organization, within each program area, but we won't actually I think it's early March now, right, that we're doing our retreat. Yeah. will we have those core priorities identified? I mean, I understand that there's a process, but I think.
No.
No, okay, so I just want to make sure there's clarity with the board about expectations. So there will be a
That goes back-
scorecard that will be driving the process of prioritization, but we will not yet have identified what the core programmatic priorities are for the organization.
Correct. If you look at
Yeah.
right around April, June timeframe, I'd hope to go back or come back to the board and say, you know, these are the priorities, these are the core, because I think it's really getting with the stakeholders. So for example, the board will see the first scorecard, or at least start looking at the first priority. And then we need to make sure that we go into the programs and divisions, because I think that's important to get stakeholder. And then we'd probably come back in around April to June in that timeframe. I opened it up a couple months, but I think that would be a good time to assess that and get feedback from the board.
Yeah, and I understand that the core priorities won't be identified. I think as long as the scorecard gives some specificity, that we have a better understanding of how you all are looking at these priorities and how you are looking to define priorities, that is really what I'm asking for. It sounds like the scorecard should be that.
And just one other note, part of what we're working on is also to, try to use a scalpel more than a sledgehammer in the approach. And so doing some due diligence around not just thinking about, what are the quote priorities, but what's important for the size of a program? Where are there spaces where we might be able to contract if we need to without impacting the quality of the work? So just and getting a handle on, Armando's also doing some really good work around efficiencies. And so getting a handle on what does that work by us before we go into a bigger conversation about how do we start thinking about how we would scale if there are budget restrictions coming with this.
And we've got, I think, a finance subcommittee meeting. Is it this week?
It sure
Next week?
is.
Yeah, okay. So we can also talk through some of those details too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 5. You're in review 2024.
It's Medoka. So Kelly Hinch, Strategic Initiatives Director. First of all, good to see you all. Happy New Year. We're gonna, our comms team put together a short video around 2024, just to highlight some of the accomplishments from different programs in 2024. We'll show that in a sec. And we had planned to do this in December, but it was a little bit of a short turnaround time for some of the program teams to pull some of the stuff together. And which brings me, before we jump into the video, an opportunity to talk just for a couple minutes. And it's a good follow-up to the conversation we just had, frankly. We're in the process of pulling together what is going to be the key strategy around building sort of the data and performance management pieces of the organization, and which is a huge lift. And it's also a major cultural shift in the way we function in the past. And so we're working with, what's kind of delayed this a little bit is we really want to work with, we really figured out that we want to work with Armando, Sarah, Desiree, and that team to talk about how does budget actually flow into some of these spaces around data, and how we have in my mind how we want to build some of these dashboards. And I'm not going to flow into that, but that should be really helpful, even with their discussions in March around how we're looking at using some of this data to not only report, but make decisions, right? In ways that we haven't done in the past. And, being able to use data to roll up into videos like this without even asking program teams to provide that information. We should have that information available and things like that. And we also are going to make some videos around different priorities, part of the communications plan for 2025 is to have individual videos put up on websites, and we'll share with you all when those places are put together and things, right? But for this, it's just looking back at a little bit the celebration as well, and really trying to just highlight for you some of the main things that we pulled together in 2024 as an organization. So I think it's a good way for us to think back and evolve the good work and to recognize some of that at this point. So I'm not going to be blabbing over the video, which is another good thing. So it's set to music and some music, and well, this plays about 4 minutes long, I think, more or less. Let's let you guys roll. Working? Not working.
Now, go ahead.
Mine's muted in the bottom corner.
See what you're saying at the bottom, right? There. We're working on it. Oh, was it? Yeah. So she had to get that one. Okay. Yeah. And Sean would have been with us to do this. Sean did this, but since you have a media thing going on right now, so I wanted Sean to be available to take calls from media that may come in. That we have to deal with me, fortunately.
I'll see if it, go back and, yeah, hit play and see if it shows up now. See if we get the audio now. So it's like right up here.
Cut out.
Oh, can they hear it online? I don't think they can hear it online.
You guys hear that?
Okay.
It's just funky music. It's what's important is on screen. So that was just a quick video that we wanted to pull together a bit and just. Okay, Dolly, no worry. So, there's a lot of great work we do. We often I don't think we stop enough to celebrate some of the good work that we do. And in a way we help this community. And I also want to thank the board here because I think that you guys have really stepped up as well this year and work with us. And it's been a time of transition in a lot of different spaces. So, and having a same mission of help our community, I think is really important. So it's just great to recognize this part, and hopefully we might be able to put some of these things on our website again and things like that, so people can really understand what we do when people ask about it and things. So if you want the video in particular for any particular reason or see all those stats, and it's not in a running video with some funky music, let us know. We can do that as well. Pass it on to y'all. Okay.
Yeah, and it is, it does remind us all how much work is going in on month after month, day after day. So appreciate you sharing that with us.
It was all Sean. It wasn't too much.
Shout out to Sean and Abstentia. Right. Great. Okay, thank you. Item number 6, director's report. And you want to lift up, Lexi, or any questions from the board?
We can start with questions. Not anything that was contained in the board. I will just lift up a couple of things. The BOCC has decided to award the Jewel settlement funds to BCPH, and we will be providing services on a reimbursement basis. The community health team, the TEP team are working to provide a plan for how those funds will be used, which is terrific news. We are working with Jordan's departure. We are working on filling in the gap around what the board would like to focus on for the next year in terms of development and special areas of work and subcommittees. And we'll be talking about that more in the next meeting, as well as providing a fairly substantial list of kind of our holistic agency goals that we would like to use as kind of a template for reporting to you all. So not just kind of some of the financial numbers, not just some of the strategic priority pieces of information, but really a holistic look at what we're trying to achieve in 2025 in the agency, and to give us a consistent way of reporting to you. In the upcoming week, you'll receive our quarterly report that goes to the BOCC and also goes to you all with an update on some of our work. And then the last piece I was going to mention is a little bit of a late breaker. It's not included in director's report. I suppose I could bring it up in old business because I know how you love the old
I do
business.
love the old and new business.
But the union vote has been extended the unionization vote has been extended to January 16th. And we are expecting a conversation shortly after that that I will connect with the board on regarding the bargaining processes and whether the BOCC is planning to plan an appeal for the decision regarding the inclusion of BCPH as a bargaining unit.
And I would assume that is, I mean, they won't know that until the vote takes place, right? The vote you said is extended until the 16th.
The vote is extended to the 16th.
Okay. So currently BCPH employees are participating in the voting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for lifting up the highlights. Again, I'll ask, are there any other questions on the director's report or anything in response to the highlights that Lexi has just shared? We're a streamlined group tonight.
Hey,
Okay.
Morgan,
Yeah.
Morgan, I'm sorry, just one thing I wanted to ask that's not in the director's report and I wouldn't expect it to be there, but I'm just curious, Lexi, how the public health community in Colorado is responding to the recent warning from the Surgeon General about alcohol consumption. Has there been any discussion about that? Yeah, at the state level or otherwise?
Yeah, actually, the issue of alcohol has come up for about the last year in state conversations and LPHA conversations, as well as within MDPH specifically. Recognizing that empirically there's a significant threat of alcohol on par with other drug use. What I'm hearing is that there are likely to be some grants rolling out for initial projects. And that a state strategy may be in process, but would take longer. I do think that there's a question on the table. I know that BCPH used to do work on alcohol. Clearly it's not in our strategic plan labeled as alcohol, but I do think that there will be opportunities coming up for us to talk at Calpo and with CDPHE about kind of what might that work look like if it starts to roll out. Certainly, I think that there's an argument to be made that it's a worthwhile priority in terms of the data outcomes. Are there other specific questions you have, Lindy?
No, I was just curious what the response is. I mean, in my lay reading of this issue, there's a very mixed response, I think, publicly on the value of this statement from the Surgeon General and what the impact might be on people's behavior. So I was just curious if, I just wanted to know what the actual dialogue was going on at the public health level. But that, and I think, Lexi, if you can, I think it would be helpful I know that a lot of things in the media garner attention that may or may not need the attention of this board, but things like that, it would be helpful to just, maybe there's a section in the director's report that kind of sort of addresses some of the things that are coming through the public media so that we have an understanding of, how things are being discussed and potentially talking points, as these things get attention, which I think we will see more and more of that as we see the administration change at the federal level.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Lindy. And I think it'll certainly tie into the policy updates that we'll be providing. I think you're right. I will say that the discussion that we've been having in Colorado has been longer than the Surgeon General's report. We've been having it for a while because we do have a couple of pretty respected public health folks who have been advocating on this issue for a long time and feel like it's long overdue to address.
And higher rates of alcohol use in Colorado, I think, right?
Well, and just the comparative health impact. And I think that's a great idea. I think you all know that we are going to be revamping, restructuring the director's report. So we'll think about how those kinds of conversations might float to the top better for you.
Thanks, Lexi. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Hearing no other questions. On to item number 7, old and new business. Well, I already think that's all right.
Scooped it.
That's okay. Anybody else have any business they want to announce? Okay. Then item number 8 is we will adjourn at 6:24. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Good
you.
Bye, guys.
We did not, so we have.